Hey guys, Cinema Sick this year with this week's weekly review, where we take a look at all the titles I watched throughout the week, and I give you my quick thoughts on them. So let's take a look at what I watched. Now this week's list is a little bit shorter as I've been just really bunkering down, working on the new library, plus right over there I have a whole new section of the library that I'm building onto, so I've been dealing with that, moving stuff, putting things away, just a lot of crazy stuff going on. Next weekend, we're having a party at the house for my mother-in-law. She graduated college, so we have that to deal with. So just a lot going on, and I just didn't get around to watching as many titles as I normally do. Only have 6 titles here to show you this week, which may sound like a lot. I'm sure 6 titles in 1 week is a lot for some people, but for me it's actually not very many. But it's all I got around to watching, so let's take a look at everything there is. First title up here was Chernobyl Diaries, and this I actually really enjoyed. Now, I had heard a lot of people talking about this movie as a found footage film, so I went into it expecting it to be just that, a found footage movie, and I was very pleasantly surprised to find out this is not a found footage film, and that is great because when it comes to found footage movies, I tend to enjoy them, but I'm not some huge diehard fan of them. Usually they're very hit or miss, and I'm just, I'm never really, with the exception of like Blair Witch Project, I'm never like some diehard fan. So I went into this thinking, all right, it's probably going to be just okay. I'm sure I'll enjoy it to some extent, but in the end, I'm not going to love it. But I really enjoyed this film about these kids in Russia, and they want to do something kind of exciting, and the one brother is kind of like this, like kind of a adrenaline drunky kind of guy, and he talks his other brother and his soon-to-be fiancé into going off and doing this tour of Chernobyl. There's this guy who does these extreme tours, and he takes him into the town of Chernobyl, where all the residents who worked on worked in the I guess the power plants lived and whatnot, and had to just basically at the drop of a hat had to pick up and leave. Couldn't take anything with them, so they abandoned this town, and they're gonna go look at it, and they're, for some reason, the government's like not letting them in, so they sneak it around back to this back entrance, and they go in that way, and pretty much the shit hits the fan. Their van is dead. They can't leave. They got to stay that night. They start hearing sounds and stuff, and as it turns out, and a bit of a spoiler here, I guess, because I wasn't sure if it was going to be haunted or what, but it just ends up being the there still are some residents there, some like kind of mutated, freaked out residents. And from that, I basically went, okay, this is basically The Hills Have Eyes in Russia. If you like The Hills Have Eyes, you're probably going to enjoy this movie, as it is more or less the same exact movie. I mean, people having their van, their vehicle break down, they can't get it started, and then just mutated people from nuclear radiation start attacking. It's the same basic premise, but I don't mind that, because I really enjoy The Hills Have Eyes. I think Hills Have Eyes and even The Hills Have Eyes remake, both great movies. And this, just again, Hills Have Eyes in Russia, in Chernobyl, and that works for me. I was just very happy to find that this wasn't a found footage movie. There's only about maybe 30 seconds of found footage in this film at all. There's one scene where they come to the van, one of the brothers who got hurt, his fiancé, they're missing, they don't know what happens, and they find a little camera. They check it out, 30 seconds of, shit hitting the fan, and then that's it. That's the only amount of found footage in this film, and I absolutely loved it for that. So Chernobyl Diaries, it's nothing amazing, it's nothing fantastic. I guess I would say mediocre, but it is worth checking out in my opinion, because I really enjoyed it, and I'd say if you like movies like The Hills Have Eyes, then yes, this is worth checking out. You can pick it up for $5 right now on DVD in the Walmart dump-in, and for $5, it's definitely worth it. The next title I watched was Andrew Jackson, Good, Evil, and the Presidency, which I already stated when I picked this up. I absolutely love that title. I think it's just a brilliant title. And this is a great PBS documentary all about Andrew Jackson. Really not more to say about it than that. It's just a documentary on Andrew Jackson. It's very well done. If you have any interest whatsoever in learning about Andrew Jackson, one of the greats, the original founding father presidents, if you have any interest in learning about him at all, then this is definitely worth checking out. And that's about it. I really don't have anything else to say about this. I mean, it's just about Andrew Jackson's life. If that interests you, then this is definitely something you should check out. Then I watched The Apparition, and this is a movie I actually picked up because of the Chernobyl Diaries. In the beginning of Chernobyl Diaries, they showed a trailer for this, and I thought, wow, that looks like a pretty good movie. It showed a bunch of people basically doing kind of like a, I don't know if I want to say like a seance, but kind of like a ghost hunter type seance. They're all around a table trying to get these spirits to come. They have all this equipment and they're filming and stuff, and everything goes crazy. And I thought, hey, that looks pretty interesting. Draco Malfoy's in it. Thought awesome. So I thought, yeah, this looks like a pretty interesting movie. Until I popped it in and actually watched it. And as it turns out, it just starts out with that whole kind of seance thing. They do summon a spirit, everything, the shit hits the fan, everything goes crazy. And from there we have a story about one of the guys from the seance and his girlfriend, I don't know, I guess it's girlfriend, not fiance, but girlfriends, and then they're in this house and the spirit has followed them and now the spirit's haunting them and everything goes crazy and blah, blah, blah. Very boring, very uninteresting. It's just a very mediocre, very, very, very mediocre, below mediocre haunted house story, although it's not really the house is haunted, it's the one guy who's haunted, but regardless, it's not very good. The scares, not many of them. I was not happy with this. I would not recommend this movie. If you really want to see it, it is only $5 in the Walmart dump-in right now, but fair warning, it's a really bad ghost story. I didn't enjoy it. I would say stay far, far away from The Apparition. I wish the trailers did more justice to the movie because, like I said, the trailers made it look pretty interesting. I was dying to see this movie. And just, once I saw it, I was just so disappointed. So The Apparition, I would say stay far, far away. Like I said, it's very mediocre. There are no real scares in it. It's just a very boring movie. And even the ending, it's just very meh. I didn't really care for the ending at all. It just seemed like it just kind of stopped. And it wasn't exciting. Just wasn't a good ghost story, and this is one I would just say skip over. Then I finally checked out Up in the Air, which is a movie I've wanted to see for some time now, as it gets pretty good reviews. I remember when it came out, a lot of people were talking about it, saying how great of a film it was, so it's definitely something I've been wanting to see. Picked it up this Black Friday, just hadn't got around to watching it, so the wife and I finally sat down, checked it out, and I see what all the hype was about. This was a great watch, a really enjoyable story, all about George Clooney and how he kind of leads this very solitude life. Kind of pushes his family out of the way, never settles down with a girl. He is seeing this one girl who also travels a lot because George Clooney does travel constantly. He's this guy who basically goes to corporations to fire people. It's pretty shady. It's when the boss is too much of a pussy to fire people, they hire him and people from his company to go around and fire people in the building. It's pretty interesting, but he goes all around the country doing this. Like I said, he's hooking up with this one girl who, I forget what she does, but she's also constantly traveling. Every now and then they meet up and basically bang. So it's this whole story again about how he leads a very solitude life. He's very much into just being by yourself. He thinks people tie you down. He does these motivational speeches every now and then where instead of really being motivating people, he basically just tells you, push everybody out of the way. Just forget everybody. Forget everything that's tying you down. Forget your personal belongings. Forget your family. Forget your girlfriend. Forget your kids. They're not important. Just focus on you. Kind of crazy, but of course, in the end, he realizes maybe he needs people. He needs family. And the girl he's seeing right there, I always forget her name, Vera Farmiga. Is that how you pronounce her name? I don't know. My wife thinks I'm crazy because I find her extremely attractive, but regardless, again, he's kind of seeing her, and he starts to realize, maybe I really like this girl. We bump into each other, we have a little fling, but maybe there's something more there. He ends up inviting her to his sister's wedding, and things go great, and he ends up saying, thinking, I'm truly in love with this girl. I'm gonna go to her house and sweep her off her feet. Well, as it turns out, she's actually married, which, in the movie, I'm watching this, and things are progressing between the two. I'm thinking, they gotta get together, they gotta get together, they gotta get together. I'm thinking, though, they're not going to. There's no way this movie's gonna pan out with a happy ending. There's no way they're gonna get together. You see that coming. It's not that type of movie. You get that from the very beginning. It's not gonna be a happy ending type of film. but you're still rooting for them so much because you just want to see these two people who just need to be so in love getting together. But like I said, she ends up being a complete bitch, and she's actually married with I think 2 kids. So pretty fucked up. Really pisses you off. You end up hating her at the end of the film. And George Clooney, ends up going back to his solitude life, and it's a really downer kind of ending, very depressing, but a very well done movie, very enjoyable, just a great story, wraps you in from the entire time, from the very beginning to the very end. You're roped in this one. You want to see what happens. You want to see how this relationship pans out. You want to see what happens to George Clooney. So a great film. Like I said, it gets a lot of praise, and the hype, it definitely lives up to it. So check out Up in the Air. You won't be disappointed. Then I watched Hobo with a Shotgun. This was absolutely 100% brilliant. Now, I had heard a lot of good things about this movie when it came out, and then as time went on, I started hearing people say things like, it gets too much hype. It's not as good as everybody says, things like that. So the more I heard that, and I heard it a lot after this had come out, I started to think to myself, maybe this isn't going to be as good as I thought. Maybe this is going to be one of those movies that maybe tries too hard, and at first people kind of liked it, but then people started to see it for what it was, a movie that just tried way too hard to be something, kind of, I guess you could say, like retro kind of, And from that, I was a little weary going into it, but by no means was this movie bad in any way whatsoever. Never tried too hard. This movie did a great job of just feeling like a fantastic 80s action movie. It's all about this town who's overrun by crime, and this hobo comes in. He's like, fuck this, I'm fed up with all this crime. It's ridiculous how this town is. I mean, children being raped, people being killed, just nothing good happening in this town. It's just a town of crime. And he decides to go kick some ass and clean up the town. Does a great job doing it. In the end, he basically creates a whole town of vigilantes. He befriends a hooker who helps out. Just awesome. The bad guy is just crazy. He's got these 2 sons who are just nuts also and want to be like their father. Just balls to the wall insanity. And I think it does, like I said, a great job of having that 80s sort of feeling. It's not perfect. It does have a bit of a, you can tell it's a modern film, but it does have a great 80s feeling. The music, the characters, just everything about it. There's also one of the most twisted scenes I've ever seen in a movie where basically both the brothers, they go into a school bus with a flamethrower and just burn it to a crisp with all the children inside. By far one of the most fucked up things I've ever seen in a movie. They do this to kind of get back at the hobo. Pretty crazy, but in the end they get what's coming to them, and just, again, absolutely fantastic. If you've heard good things about this movie, you've heard good things for a fantastic reason. This movie is brilliant. I would highly, highly, highly recommend it. I'm really upset that I waited so long to see this movie. I'm going to have to pick it up on Blu-ray or something just for the great special features and whatnot. So this is definitely something I would highly recommend checking out. If you love great vigilante 80s movies, wow, I can't say that. If you love movies like that, this is one to check out. It just does a great nostalgic job of kind of giving you that feel of those great 80s movies. So Hobo with a Shotgun, I would 110% recommend checking it out. And the last time I watched this week was Thomas Jefferson. Yes, another PBS president documentary. This was also really great, 3 hours long. It's actually a 2-parter. It starts off from the beginning of his life up to around, right when he's about to become the president, and then the second part is from his presidency to his death. This was very well done. I learned a whole bunch about Thomas Jefferson that I did not know. I mean, there were certain things that I did know about the man, but a lot I didn't. Just really, really amazing story of this guy who just kind of wanted to be left alone and just live. He built Monticello and just kind of wanted to just live there, be left alone, do his thing. I mean, he loved his family and everything. Wow, you want to talk about a guy who lost a ton of family. It was family member after family member after family member dying. Wives, children. I think in the end he had 1 child left, and even some of his grandchildren that ended up dying. Crazy. This guy lost so much of his family, but at the same time, he didn't seem to really necessarily want the presidency, although, I mean, he kind of did, but kind of didn't, because he wasn't too happy with the way things were being run in the country. And just, kind of live the solitude life, just wanting to be at Monticello, be alone, study. He was really into science and whatnot. So great, very interesting story. I enjoyed this one even more so than the Andrew Jackson. I mean, the Andrew Jackson documentary was great, but this one just was fantastic. Again, I love the fact that it's a two-parter, 3 hours long. I love how they split it up. Just a great, great documentary. Not much more to say about it than that. Again, it is just a documentary on Thomas Jefferson, but a really interesting one, and one I would definitely recommend if you have any interest in learning about the man. So there you go, guys. It's everything I watched this week. Definitely watched a lot of great titles, with the exception of The Apparition. That movie sucked balls. Do not see it. It's horrible. Just very badly done ghost story that just has a very flat story that it just doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't add up to anything. In the end, you just kind of go, all right, I saw that. Don't check it out. You don't need to. But everything else I watched, I would highly recommend, especially Hobo with a Shotgun. That was fantastic. Just brilliant. See that movie. And Chernobyl Diaries, like I said, if you've been hearing things about how it's a found footage movie like I did, I don't know what the hell people are talking about. Why were people saying it's a found footage movie? I can't comprehend that. I don't know why I've seen like 20 reviews in that movie where people talk about how it's a found footage film. There's no found footage in it whatsoever, with the exception of that 30 seconds where they look at a camera. That's about it. But it was good. Like I said, Hills Have Eyes in Russia, but check it out. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for my next video. See ya.